Great. Hello, Marteen Santerre here with Soul Being, and today I am speaking with Larissa Davis.
Hello.
Larissa, welcome.
Thank you.
So Larissa is an artist and a creativity fit coach, and she helps people to connect with their passion and purpose by exploring their creativity. So tell us, why does that matter? What's so important about creativity for our well-being?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and a lot of people that I talk with about this, like I go to a lot of art shows and different things,
Sure.
and they are like, oh, well, that's not me. I'm not creative. I'm not the creative one in the family.
Yeah.
I'm not the artist. That's my sister.
Yeah.
And the thing is that creativity affects every aspect of our lives. And when we feel like we're not creative, and I know for many years I suppressed my own creativity, it's very unhealthy, and it leads to stress, and sometimes we're not able to see our way around a situation or through or past or over or under it.
We're blocked.
You're absolutely blocked. So allowing yourself to explore creativity in whatever form that takes for you can actually help you in many aspects of your life.
Wonderful. And so do you, I guess, work with people at all on that like right brain, left brain kind of balance? Because we are in such a left brain environment. So how does that creativity play into that?
Right, exactly. And I think, we couldn't function without our left, with both hemispheres really, but we are in a very left brain culture.
Yeah.
And we just, the way our lives are structured, we spend a lot of time in the left hemisphere of our brain, and that's the part that's it reasons, it judges, it analyzes, and it's also responsible for keeping us safe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fear that comes up in
Fight
our
or
lives.
flight, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very busy. That if you're wondering what the monkey mind is, usually that's where it resides.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And your right hemisphere is where the creativity is. It's your intuition. It's where inspiration comes from. So we were talking earlier about Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic.
Big Magic, one of my favorites.
Yeah. So what a wonderful book. That was one of the books that I read when I started this unfolding of this journey for myself.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when you are creative, it starts to build new neural pathways in your brain, actually. Because you can get stuck. So if you're thinking, if you're in your left brain mind all the time, and you see this a lot with people who get depressed.
Yeah, they can't get out.
They can't get out of it because your brain is plastic, which means it'll change and form, and it's like, okay, if you want to think this negative thought over and over and over,
it will support you.
It's going to support you, and it becomes really hard. And Martha Beck, who's another wonderful author and coach, she talks about it as being like a groove, like a muddy road, and if you drive the ruts, it's groove, and you can't pull out. And creativity is a way to pull yourself out because it actually helps develop that right hemisphere of your brain. So even if you don't think you're creative, we all are creative. We all have that artistic, intrinsic, creative flair. It doesn't mean that you're a painter, but painting and visual art can be a way to connect you to what that passion is in your life.
Wonderful. So you do a lot of work with groups.
I do.
And so who are the types of people that you work with, or what are the types of people that you find can really benefit from this work around exploring creativity for their well-being?
Well, I think it's interesting because a lot of the people that are attracted to working with me are sort of going through, or at the start of going through, what I was going through a couple of years ago, which was this sort of crisis of like, okay, what's next in my life? My son had gone off to college, and that really sort of rocked things for me internally. And that was when I realized how much I hadn't been following my inner wisdom and my inspiration. And so I think anyone that's in a transitional point in their lives and sort of going, oh, what's next? And is ready to really ask that question from not just the logical side, because we want to engage the logical side, but we don't want it, as Elizabeth Gilbert so wonderfully says, we don't want it driving the ship. You want to find that inspiration. And these workshops that I do help you do that.
Wonderful. So then can you maybe share with us, as we're talking about the left brain versus the right brain, what are some common, maybe some misconceptions that people have about creativity and their own creativity? Well,
we talked a little bit about that, the people who say, oh, I'm not the creative one. A lot of us have gotten messages when we were kids that we weren't that talented, maybe that wasn't our thing.
Yeah.
That's your sister that's good at that.
Yeah. Stick with that, the reading, your drawing sucks.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I think that's probably the biggest misconception, is that, only certain people are creative.
Okay.
Only certain people are. And for me, there was another conception about creativity, that everything I created had to be a masterpiece.
Yes.
And that stopped me for years.
Yeah.
I had all my art supplies squirreled away.
Sure, yeah.
And I wouldn't
That's
touch
like
them.
procrastination paralyzation, by thinking that it has to be perfect.
Yes.
And what does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly. Or that it had to have a purpose.
Yeah.
So
that's another good one.
Right? Yeah. So it's been really exciting to me, is to realize that no, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece. I can paint over it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, if you don't like it, you can just change it.
paint over it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that translates into your life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if there's something in your life that you don't like and you're not happy with, why are you living with it?
Good point. No,
Right?
yeah, you can actually change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the trick is figuring out,
awesome.
not being reactionary in your life.
Yeah.
Right? Figuring out. And the painting process is wonderful because it allows that inner dialogue to become conscious. We have this inner dialogue that goes on so often.
Yeah.
The voices, the beliefs that we have that stop us from doing things, like that stopped me from being creative because I thought it had to be perfect.
Sure. Yeah.
And so.
Wonderful. So then what are some other, like, from thinking about it as a piece of personal development, right? What are some other things for those that don't resonate with painting, or they're like just terrified of it? What are some of the other avenues that you help people to express their creativity?
Yes. I do want to say the thing, though, if you think of painting and you're like, oh, that's not me, or oh no, I could never do that, you would have probably the most benefit from doing this work with me, hands down. Because you're coming to it with all of that very present fear and sort of negative self-talk about it. So in that way. But yes, so the workshops that I do involve a lot of personal development exercises. There's a little bit I borrow from different things. So there's there are fun creativity exercises that are just scribbling. And in fact, I have a free example of that on my website that people can check out too.
We'll send a link to it.
And journaling, and a little bit of an introduction to like guided visualization is part of it too.
Wonderful. Yeah. So then lastly, in having worked with people in kind of going down and exploring their creativity, what's probably the most the most like consistent breakthrough that you've witnessed people have as they go through this process with you?
Wow.
Like, is there one theme that keeps showing up for people as they go through this process that you're like, wow, that's awesome?
Well, I don't know that there is a theme, except that it does happen over and over and over again. And it's the most gratifying aspect of doing this. And it's why I decided to shift my career to doing this, because it's transformed my life, and I see it over and over again that people, through creativity, somehow they bridge something into their own sort of inner wisdom, and they're able to feel more grounded, more connected, and really a sense of freedom. I think that a lot of us feel very boxed in and restricted, and there's a sense of freedom that starts to enter their lives.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing,
You're
Larissa.
welcome.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.